Hello, hello, Cancer. Welcome to your March 2019 overview reading. This is good for you if you are a sun, moon, or rising Cancer. And I'm going to go ahead and pick these oracle cards, and then I'm going to lay down the spread. So go ahead, if there's any information you want to have come up today, just take a deep breath, set your intention for what you'd like to know about the month. All right, this one right here wants to come up. Okay, now I'm gonna lay this down. You guys really liked the, when I lay them down and I speed it up, so that's what I'll do now, and then we'll get into the reading. Let's do this. So the truth bomb coming up for you this month is you're on the verge of a miracle. Expect it. Expect miracles. Maybe not necessarily in the context that you're looking for, leave room for variability, but you're on the verge of a miracle. So make sure you keep your eyes peeled, celebrate any small victory, any small win, and that's really going to help you feel into where this happens. And then we have instincts, so really trusting your intuition. This totally makes sense during Pisces season. You guys are really intuitive, and then we have an intuitive time of the year. It's an intuitive season in March, and so you can really trust your instincts on it. The only thing that I would recommend is when it comes to your instincts, make sure that you're able to discern between your intuition and old trauma. So that's where people can get messed up or confused. All right, then the animal card of the month, we have Scorpion. So you're probably gonna feel more aggressive, more assertive this month. Like you kind of have a lot of power this month. That's because this is all power, the Scorpion card. So use this to your advantage. If there's something that you've been wanting to do, someone you've wanted to confront, something you've wanted to ask for, this is the month to do it. And then the Sovereign Oracle card is Celebrate. This is what I was talking about earlier with celebrate every small win. We have take a moment to enjoy your accomplishments, focus on successes for today, fixing things can wait for a bit, appreciate creative comrades and show them your gratitude. Okay, so just try to step into enjoyment and ease and flow and allowing yourself to celebrate the things that are going well. All right, now we're going to get into the base reading. I'll go over, this is like normal, the way I would read a Celtic cross, central energy, crossing energy, what's shifting out, what's coming in. So for March, the central energy for you is the Nine of Swords. This is fear. So you really having to power through the fear. You kind of have to lean into it and not necessarily believe it, understand its origin, but it's not based in the material world. And you can really see that clearly in this card because that figure up in the corner is shadows. It looks like it's smoke. And so the fears that you're experiencing are likely old. That's why I mentioned here with the instincts card, you want to be careful of what's an instinct, what's intuition, and what's trauma-based, what's old patterns, old thought systems, old realities. That's what you're working through, and that's why the Scorpion came up. This is personal power for you to push through that experience and not cave to fear, because the problem is that there's risk in jumping into uncharted territory. There's also risk in not taking a risk. So you can't really avoid it. And that's why you can't buy into fear. The crossing energy is the Six of Wands. This is the victory card. Like, yes, we've done it, we've accomplished it. And this is also pointing to you're on the verge of a miracle. Okay, the victory card coming off of this fear-based core is what's showing you that if you do challenge yourself this month, if you do push yourself, there's a lot to be gained. Don't allow fear to hold you back. I know that it's really, really, really hard to change behavior. It's really hard to take risks. All of these things are challenging, and I'm not denying that. Just do your best to be gentle. And then this is what's moving out, what's leaving your life. We have the Five of Cups, beautiful. So any disappointment, frustration, lack of clarity, focusing on the glass half empty, that's what the Five of Cups is all about. So that's shifting out. I think you're actually coming into a space where you're much more aligned with the actions that you're taking, at least based on this. Because the Five of Cups, it's like you can see the natural progression here. You have the Five of Cups, the disappointment, the shame, and it moves into fear, right? Fear of a recurrence of disappointment, fear of loss, fear of grieving processes again, whether that be a personal project, a relationship, what have you. And the thing is, you have to make an attempt again in order to succeed. So you're really coming out of the woods with all of this. Or, I mean, you always have the option to stay complacent. You know, there's no pressure to grow by any means, but it's like if you want to get out, that's what needs to be done. What's to come? The Lovers, beautiful. What better card to have in the oncoming position? Even for those of you who are already coupled or don't care about relationships, relationships matter regardless. So I know that, you know, this has a strong romantic basis, but that's not always what the Lovers card is about. It can also be business relationships. It can be friendships. It can be community. So it can take a few different shapes in your life. It can manifest in some different ways. So just keep that in mind. If you're already partnered. Otherwise, this is a great omen for those of you who are looking for love relationships. It's like that's what you're working towards, but the condition is that you have to take risks, you have to put yourself out there, and you have to try. If you don't do that, it's going to be really hard to see this come through. Okay, I'm going to clarify the Lovers as well. The other thing I like to mention here is that it's decision making. The Lovers requires a lot of decision making. So to clarify this, I have the Nine of Pentacles. So we have discipline, that reference to Saturn. Okay, it takes discipline. If this is something that you've been wanting, but you've been hiding in your house, or like if you want new friends, but you haven't been leaving the house. I'm guilty of this, by the way. That, you know, it's like you're not really going to be able to reap those benefits. So make sure that you're looking at the things that you want as long-term projects. These are not things that just happen overnight. They can, but you don't want to go into it with that expectation. It'll suffocate the things that you're trying to manifest. And so that's why you kind of want to take a step back and just look at it as, okay, I need to take consistent action that's in alignment with me, and you do that over and over and over. That's how you really get things to grow and manifest, is by the constant decision to actually align yourself with the things that you desire and embody them fully. Okay, now this is, so for those of you who are manifesting, it doesn't matter if it's money, love, new career, a child, whatever it is that you're manifesting, this is advice for you when it comes to that. Queen of Swords, you have to think outside of the box and constantly remind yourself that you don't have to put yourself in a position based on what someone else is saying. So this is having freedom of thought, autonomy, and clarity of mind is really important for this process. Don't trap yourself into limiting beliefs or thinking that it has to happen a certain way. Expand that. You're not in charge of the how. You don't have any say in how things manifest. All you can ask for is the what. That being said, the Queen of Swords is reminding you that you do not limit yourself. So if you look at a situation and you say, oh, impossible, or there's no way that could happen, you're already digging a grave for yourself. That is the problem. When you go into a situation and you say, oh, no way, it's a problem. It's like, okay, then forget about it. You're not going to get the thing that you want. You have to believe in something bigger than yourself. You have to think in broader terms, in the possibility of something being way beyond what you thought possible. And that's how you start to see it roll in. If you're writing it off prematurely, you're not going to see it manifest. So be conscious of where you're putting your thoughts and the stories that you're telling yourself around the things that you want. This is your external environment. We have the Seven of Swords, so there's probably a lot of things that you kind of need to declutter and move out of your space. I'm going to clarify this one, because it's like you gotta cut out some dead weight. It looks like there's a few things that are hanging out in your space. Maybe you're caretaking a little bit too much or giving a little bit too much. Like, do the people that you're giving to really need as much energy as you're giving them, or are you enabling them to be vampiric? You know, because it's not just about the person who's doing the poor behavior, it's also about what are you doing in response? Are you feeding into energy vampires? Are you giving other people who don't deserve it a lot of your energy? These are things to think about. Eight of Pentacles, it takes work. So for those of you who are shifting out of any codependent patterns or anything that is really pushing you to, how do I put this? If you're breaking patterns of overgiving or overdoing, self-sacrificing, putting yourself last, anything like that, it takes work, and it's probably going to feel uncomfortable choosing yourself in the beginning. So just remind yourself that if you don't put your oxygen mask on first when you're on an airplane, you're actually doing everyone a disservice around you. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. It doesn't mean it's not uncomfortable. Quite the opposite. Changing behavior is hard. So it's okay if it takes work. It's okay if you fudge up. It's okay if you take a misstep along the way. Just know that it takes practice. Okay, now this is what's growing this month. The moon, okay, looks like your intuition is what's growing, honestly. This is like the ultimate psychic card. So I actually think you might have really potent dreams. You might have a ton of intuitive hits this month. It seems like that side of things, you trusting yourself, your ability to create, as well as something larger than yourself. All of that stuff is coming up with this card. So it really is a test of faith for you in March. And you can either lean into it expecting miracles and expecting to win, or you can expect everything to fall apart. And the experience that you have is going to be dependent on your expectations. So if you write a comment to me in the bottom of this video and you just tell me about how you've been struggling for the last 10 years and nothing is ever going to change and you don't know how to do it, be aware of the story that you're saying. As you're writing or hearing me and you're like, no, there's no way any of this can happen. That is your choice. That is what you're choosing. You're choosing to not believe in anything other than what you've experienced, and therefore you will never experience anything other than what you've gone through. So if you don't strap some type of harness onto the way you're thinking, it's going to be very hard to shift out of this. You have to become conscious of your thought patterns and do the work. None of this works. None of the oncoming energies and all of this stuff all this good stuff that you're dealing with, does not happen without your involvement. So remember that. Then this is what is abundant for you this month. So we have the King of Swords. So this is a very mental month for you. This could also be a lot of air signs, like a whole bunch of air signs that are hanging out with you or gravitating towards you. The King of Swords is also showing like you might have tons and tons of ideas or tons and tons of solutions or a whole bunch of inspiration. So you have the intuition and the inspiration, and it takes your involvement in action in order to kind of reap the benefits of this. Because what I'm getting is you probably have 50,000 things that you could add to your to-do list, but the thing that you want to focus on is what would you enjoy, what would inspire more pleasure, what would make you feel more in alignment with the direction that you want to go. So maybe stepping away from some of the practicality, you know, we all have bills and stuff like that, but you can also put a little bit of trust in doing things that you enjoy, because that really is how you fulfill the highest version of yourself, is by doing things that are enjoyable. And when you deny yourself of that, you're denying a very central part of yourself. So when you have ideas, intuition, and inspiration come up, when you're getting told or requested to take action, do it. Follow it and see what happens. You get one shot in this lifetime, in this incarnation, so you may as well take risks. Okay, let's get into the timeline. First, second, third, and fourth quarter. So first quarter of March, first week-ish of March, we have the Magician. What are you asking for? What are you manifesting? Where are your thoughts, words, and actions pointing to? So one of the biggest things that I see people mess up on when it comes to manifestation is their language. Like, what are you saying? Or if you constantly have a story on repeat or some type of negative self-talk, you are doing a massive disservice to yourself and to your potential to manifest. So that is something that you really want to clean up. The communication piece around this is huge, huge, huge. And it's because you have the Nine of Swords in the center. So it's just like if you're only in scarcity, if you're only in fear-based mode, your potential to manifest just dramatically plummets. When you are able to speak from a place of conviction and just constantly putting your faith in, I don't know how it's going to happen, but this is what I'm manifesting, then that's what really greases the wheels and makes it come your direction. Second quarter, we have the Five of Swords. This is very similar to the Seven of Swords. This is probably where you're going to start to see some dead weight. You know, what do you need to move away from? What do you need to shift out? Do you have any friends that are just not good for you? This to me looks like some relationships that need to be cleared out more than anything else, but it can also be thoughts. Are you battling with yourself in your mind? Do you have negative thought forms that you're trying to clear out of your system? Third quarter, the High Priestess. So still sticking with that same intuition. It's very similar to the Moon. So those intuitive hits, that potent psychic energy really coming through in the third quarter. And it's kind of like, if you are getting told to do something and you're sitting on your hands, dude, you have to listen to those intuitive hits that you're getting. You have to. And if you don't, it's like there's a whole world of potential that you're missing out on. So I would say listen to your intuition, because it's going to serve you well and it's going to open up a lot of doors. So don't sell yourself short. Fourth quarter, we have the Tower, release. Don't worry, I'll clarify this. Okay. Five of Swords. Okay, so this is the same as what we had here. And the Tower is all about you having to let it go. And then with the Five of Swords, it looks like either those relationships or the people or the thoughts and the things you're saying, with, because we have a little Mercury glyph right here too. They have to move out, they have to go, they have to shift. Like, you're gonna have to release them one way or another. So what I'm getting is this is bringing it full circle. You either do it in the second quarter, the excess weight, you either cut it in the second quarter and it clears up by the end of the month, or if you put this off, you don't do it, you're gonna see it get into a position where you're like forced, like things will progressively get worse if you don't listen. That's the tough thing about, I guess, just the law of the universe, if you will, is that if you're not listening, things will progressively get worse and worse and worse until you take action. Because it's kind of like, okay, you're not listening, so you're putting God in a position where, you know, they're going to have to constantly remind you. So, like, how many reminders do you want to get before you take action and do something differently? And that's the question for all of us. But for you, that's going to be highlighted in March. All right, let's do a 3-card pick. So you're welcome to pick a card. You can ask a question. You can ask for guidance, whatever you need. Okay, card number 1. We have the Mother of Swords. This is the same card that we had up here. Independent thinking and not allowing other people to project what they think is best for you or their limiting beliefs onto you. So it's kind of like, you know, if maybe you have a conversation with your parents about something that you want to do, this is just an example, and they try to tell you, oh, that's too expensive, or no, you shouldn't do that. Be really cautious with what you're doing with your crown chakra, because if they have limiting beliefs that they're projecting onto you, it's not going to serve you. It's just it's their baggage. So remember to keep your crown closed is the best way I can put it. Like, just double check, like, is their truth also your truth, or are you just absorbing some of their story? Card number 2, we have the 6 of Wands. So this is also the victory card, same thing that's sitting right here. Power, victory, strength, moving away from situations of the past and into a new future. This has a 6 of Swords feel to it because it is like you're coming out of the woods, you're rising above, you're like a phoenix rising from the ashes. That's the whole feel of this card. So I think that this month is really presenting you with a ton of opportunities to grow in ways that maybe you didn't realize were possible or didn't consider in the past, but this is very evident to me that you're getting that in March. Okay, then 3rd card, Son of Wands. You have a lot of energy. Be careful what you're doing with it. So I'm getting a strong impression that you have a lot of vacuums around you, like a lot of people who just want. So are you going to give that to yourself? Are you going to give it to your projects? Or are you going to give it to all of the people that are trying to drain you? Or the situations that are really draining? Or, you know, are you going to take on that 5th project at work because one of your coworkers told you to and you'll feel bad if you say no? You know, those are dangerous ways to spend energy. And what this is reminding you is to be conscious. Like, you can easily give away your chi and not get any return on it. So what this is saying is you want to bring it back to yourself. Bring all of your chi back to the areas that you want to distribute it in. And that's how you're going to make big moves. But it's up to you what you do with your energy. Just be cautious. All right, my friends, that is all that I have for you today. I certainly hope you've enjoyed this reading as much as I've enjoyed reading for you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share. Thank you so much for all of the people who work with me one-on-one. I appreciate you guys more than you could possibly know. Don't forget that love and relationship readings come out on the 1st of every month on my Patreon, and I do weekly sign-specific readings on Patreon as well. All of the links to work with me are in the description box, and I also want to let you guys know, I'll just invite you, if you don't already follow me on Instagram, I highly recommend it, because I've been doing a lot of fun stuff with my stories and everything, so check that out, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.